Coach, I'll be the number one guy over here. Second half, ran the ball much more effectively than you did the first half. What changed, do you think?
Well, overall, I mean, first it was obviously poor performance, and it all kind of centers and starts with me. We got to do a much better job. I've got to do a much better job. I think our guys settled down a little bit in the second half and got a little bit accustomed to what they were seeing and doing up front. And then, you know, we had the huge mistake there at on the last possession in the fourth quarter, giving up the safety. But our guys are going to hang in. They're going to get better. I mean, we have a lot of inexperience that's going to get experience every time we play. And then, as I said, I've got to do a better job of giving them some opportunities that they can execute well.
How many offensive linemen do you guys expect to play? Expect to get some different guys in this week?
Oh, I think so. I think you'll see, particularly the younger guys, that, you know, that's a position that's really difficult for true freshmen to play because of so much that they got to learn and be ready for. But we have a really good group of true freshmen, and there's one or two of them that will probably get in this weekend. You like to have 8 that's in a solid rotation. You know, 5 starters and a backup guard, center, and tackle. And for us, part of that 8 are going to be true freshmen.
Rich, I think this will be the first time in about a decade you've coached against an SEC defense. Is there anything different preparation-wise that you have to do to prepare for maybe the size or speed you might be going up against?
Well, I think it's the same kind of preparation you do for everybody. Obviously, you're going to get some bigger, faster guys, particularly up front. We've been practicing against it for the month of August and spring practice, so I think our guys are used to seeing that. Coaching staff is used to seeing that. So I don't know if there's anything different that you're preparing for. I mean, we just got to get better. I mean, I've got a really good coaching staff I'm working with, a great group of young guys, so they'll get better.
What did you think of Alex's performance in the game, and how did he hold up physically after the game?
Thought he held up well. You know, we were thinking maybe he would get about 25 to 30 plays in, and the way the game going, we were doing so poorly offensively that there weren't a lot of long drives, so those guys seemed pretty fresh. So he played quite a bit, and I thought he played pretty well, particularly for him missing 3 weeks of camp.
I think I counted 5 touches for Jerry on one of those special teams. Did you think there would be more for him in the game? Yeah, I think so. And him and a couple other of our skill guys, we've got to find a way to be able to get them more touches and get them loose a little bit. Jerry is, a true freshman, but he's got a lot of talent, and he's pretty sharp. We're teaching him. He's been learning quite a bit in the running back position, and I think his role is going to continue to increase. We got to, because he's a guy that can do some stuff in space.
What kind of things can you do to make things a little easier on Matt, get him going in a little bit of a rhythm early? Yeah, but that's part of what we really weren't able to get him in a rhythm and comfortable. And any quarterback is like that. I think Matt can make all the throws, and he was really sharp leading up to it in camp and in the game. A few things happened. But he's a competitive guy, and he knew right away when things weren't going well, what was happening to him. That's part of the deal. He wasn't like, I don't know what's, he knew what was going on and how they were playing us. And, I think, again, he's played a little bit, but it was his first start. And I think Matt will continue to get better. I got a lot of confidence in him, and he'll play well.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, did you think some of it was the receivers struggling to create separation?
Oh, I don't know. I think, we've got some new guys out there too, and it was their first game. And I think we've got some guys that can run. We do have to be prepared for that, because we know all year we're going to get challenged and guys playing press man, and we've got to be able to beat it. And we've got to create some ways offensively to help them if they can't get separation.
Going off of that, what did you see from some of the guys who had to step in for Braylon at receiver after his injury? Yeah, again, it all playing. I think Mingo's. He didn't, even though we didn't get those guys a lot of touches or catches, nobody really did. But he showed some things. I think Drummond is going to be fine. DeMark and Miles will be okay. We've got a lot of work to do to get better everywhere. But
that group's a very conscientious group. Coach Peeler does a great job with them, so we'll be okay. They were just young, inexperienced.
You went to those 2 tight end sets a good bit in the second half to help run the ball. Is that a package that you want to expand, or it was just kind of necessity at the time?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We had worked a lot of that during camp, particularly with Cooley and Pellerin having a little bit of experience, and so we kind of had to go to that a little bit to calm us down a little bit on the run game, and did some okay things. But that's, for us, that's always been part of our main packages, I guess.
Any more questions for Coach? What about Matt's decision making in the flow of the game?
Yeah, there were a couple things that he hadn't done just decision-wise that he had been really good with that maybe wasn't, exactly on point. But some of his decision-making too, they did a good job of making things look like one thing, and it was really another thing. So but again, like I said, he's very conscientious. I think he knew right away what was happening. Then after our long film session yesterday, he understood it. So he'll get better. I mean, Matt's, like I said, he's a sharp guy. Football is important to him. He's learning the offense. It was really, obviously it was the first game in that offense. So I think every time we play a game where it's live and it's competitive, he'll grow from it, and that's the part I'm excited about.
Have you ever fielded a team with so many positions that didn't have any experience before?
Well, I really hadn't thought about it. I think there might have been one time my first year at a school that we had to replace, I think, 8 offensive starters similar to this, including a quarterback. Might have been 8 or 9. This one was probably the youngest we'd been, most inexperienced, not just with the starters, but with the backups as well. But again, that's our job as coaches to understand that and get those guys ready to go. And I would have been really pleased with fall camp, the way the guys had progressed in game week preparation, but we obviously didn't play well. So I've got to make sure we do some things to help them have success on Saturday.
Coach, how did being in the box work, and you feel like you'll stay there?
It was okay, yeah. I think for now, the only thing I worried about being in the box, I think you get a better view of what's happening. You just don't get the same. You don't able to talk to them face to face and kind of get the intensity or the flow of the game up there. And that's the thing I've struggled with. Like, do I need to be down on the field with that? Is it more important to be in the box to see things? And so I go back and forth with it right now. I'm planning on staying in the box, but stay tuned.
Not wanting to run this inexperienced thing in the ground, but what are the challenges as a coach with such an inexperienced team, and the technical part of how complicated
Yeah, we
football's
talked
gotten?
about it. I think, again, it's our job to get them ready to play. But as I mentioned earlier, probably when we talked a couple weeks ago, part of when you have younger guys hadn't played much, whatever, then you got to teach fundamentals and you got to teach schemes. And when you go into every week, it's a different kind of scheme and all that. You still you got to make sure your fundamentals are there. So sometimes I think part of the problem with the inexperienced thing is not so much guys learning the scheme. Obviously, they got to learn a new scheme and different scheme every week, but also they got to make sure their fundamentals are on point on how to block or throw or beat press man or all that kind of stuff. So that's twofold. But again, that's what we're paid to do. So as coaches, we got to get that done.